Managing the flow of data is becoming an increasingly big challenge for businesses because there are, of course, an explosion in the number of inputs of data from IoT and smartphones and mobile integrated devices and platforms. It's just causing an explosion in the amount of data. That's creating a challenge in an always-on environment where the businesses are increasingly seeing broken data streams. You've created, Girish, a platform that is solving that. It's called Data Collector, and you've made it open source. But how does Data Collector work to streamline data flows, and what is data drift?
The innovation around Data Collector is very much to handle what we call data drift. And we picked the term, we've coined the term data drift, thinking about evolution and genetic drift and saying, is that happening to data too? And we think it is. And in just the same way that maybe evolution kind of was a little slow in the age of the dinosaur, but now it's kind of speeding up. We think we're no longer going to be human beings soon enough. I think the same thing is happening with data. So, what was a very slow process of change when it came to new systems, new databases, et cetera, 15, 20 years ago, has accelerated to the point where you've got just, tons and tons of different types of data coming in all the time. And the sources of these data are no longer governed, they're ill-governed. And so they change unbeknownst to you. An example would be, if you take something like a Nest thermometer and you want to kind of, use the information coming out of that in an automated manner. If somebody goes and changes it from Fahrenheit to Celsius, did the consumer of the data think about that? So that's an example. You've heard of the shift to the cloud, where compute is moving to the cloud, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, et cetera, the big vendors that are there. Once again, that is a type of data drift from our perspective, because if you change the infrastructure, what do you do with all those data flows that you are dealing with?
Right.
The third idea is really around the componentization of all this work. So the data supply chain has exploded. It used to be that you would create a big chunk of work for a specific cause, but now you do these kind of mini jobs and then you piece it together. And every little step along the way could be a cause for breaking of these pipelines, because somebody may not realize how it's getting used downstream.
Leveraging StreamSets, what does the cost savings on the cost side, what is the cost savings that customers are realizing? And on the other side of the ledger, on the revenue side, what are customers experiencing?
So, we mentioned open source at the beginning. So definitely one of our guiding principles was just super easy to use for the data engineer, the developer that was creating these pipelines. So, so we have good examples of that where people have used our product unbeknownst to us, come to us and say, hey, look, we did this work with, two people instead of four. So, we're happy to pay some money for, production support, et cetera. An example of that is a healthcare company down in San Diego that basically has come out in public and said that they saved $1.4 million. So that would probably be about 7 people they would have used otherwise. And they're paying us a modest amount of money, somewhere in the order of $100,000 a year. So,
and on the revenue side, are customers?
Yeah, on the revenue side, it's a little bit more interesting. One of our marquee customers, that's again on the record, is GSK. And what they signed up to do was to take all of their R&D data, all the way from development discovery through clinical trial information, et cetera, put it all into a single spot, what's typically known as a data lake, so that they can kind of understand and do kind of create intelligence across these different products. They've got 250 products in the pipeline, drugs in the pipeline. And for them, it's really about getting, even if they can get one more blockbuster hit, if they can speed up the time to market for even one of those drugs, you can imagine that's hundreds of millions of dollars.